Hello, folks. I am Tanmay Saini. I am currently a medical intern in a college in North India, and I've had this urge to put this information out there in the open. So I hope that this helps you out because, frankly, I feel that there is a lack of information out there for people who are about to choose medicine as a future career path, and specifically it's for people who are currently in their ninth or 10th grade and are about to choose a stream in their 11th or 12th. And I guess it is still for people in 11th because you still have time to change your decision if you feel like after watching this video. So the topic of this video is going to be, should you go for the medical stream and specifically aim for MBBS if you're coming from a rather well-to-do family background, and especially if you're coming from a urban family, from an urban setup. So the medical system, or the medical education system rather, isn't uh, as hunky dory as it is made out to be. To be very honest, I haven't watched Kabir Singh, so I don't know how the the college system was depicted. And of course, we have a few movies to uh, set our expectations regarding how colleges are or should be. But again, here we don't really have a lot of realistic expectations for medical colleges. And well, I'll begin with the points that I have created a document of, and I'll go on and I'll try to explain. I'll paraphrase a little, won't go directly, line by line in a teleprompter like system, but okay. So, the first thing that bothered me as after my NEET result was me becoming aware of the bond system. Uh, and again, since I'm aiming for ninth to 11th graders as having my primary audience for this video, one thing that the coaching industry will not disclose to you willingly or unwillingly is the bond system. The bond system is that after you complete your MBBS, your internship, you have to work for the state government uh, for how many years the bond is for, or you have to pay an amount, and the amount is usually high. It is usually a few lakhs per year, and it's different in different states. My home state, I don't think I'll be disclosing that in this video right now, but yes, my home state at the time of my counseling did not have a bond system, although our fees is exorbitant. Even though, like, I'm in a government college, the fees is quite high. uh, well, if we factor in the bond system that they're thinking of introducing in my state, or the way it is in other states, definitely even the exorbitant fees for being free after my internship is quite less. Anyways, it is the existence of this system. I became aware about it after my NEET result, and it came as a shock because it is a major headache during your counseling time. Because, well, you not only see, if you're a topper and you're in the really high ranks, of course you have your work cut out for you. But if you're in the middle ranks, uh, I would say, like, the people who can get into a government college, whether in the first or second counseling, and not necessarily the top tier colleges, So for them it's a headache, because now there's another factor that you need to account for. uh, I feel one again, I am not making a video on how to choose a college. I don't think I'll do that, or at least in the near future. So you can go to some other YouTube channel and see how to prioritize. Well, what I have to say currently is that, of course, you should assign some amount of priority to getting your home state, because there are language issues. And also, another factor that you need to think about is distance from home, and again, the bond system, how it affects is, again, you would preferably go for a state that has no bonds, or the bond is for fewer years, or the amount that you need to pay to break that bond is low. And it is crazy that in this day and age the bond system exists. I understand why it exists, like there is a rationale behind it, but I feel that as human beings it isn't something that should be forced upon us. Or I feel at least there should be some alternatives that are not paying tens of lakhs to get rid of this. It's a sort of bonded labor. um, because of course, like, you could be sent off to remote rural areas, where you don't have a lot of supplies. So it's a pain. And again, what I'm aiming for is uh, middle class, upper middle class audience, students from that background, because you have I at least I feel that people who are coming from this background have lived cushy or a semi cushy lifestyle. And it's not just your lifestyle, but also the sort of society that you were raised around. uh, I have spoken about language issues, and language issues even in your home state become an issue, because the vernacular, the usage of language in rural areas or in the catchment area of your hospital might greatly differ from the language that you use, and it causes a bit of an issue. Um, to give you an example, okay, I'll be very short with it. Diabetic ulcers. Uh, they the villagers the villages in the catchment area of my hospital, diabetic ulcers or ulcers in general are believed to look like the sort of uh, marks left by a snake bite. So they would approach us and they would say कि हाँ, oh, this looks like they use the word for a snake bite, and then you can like the first time that this happened to me, I was very confused, thinking, why is this patient here in this particular department while they should be in the other department, considering that it is a snake bite. But it wasn't snake bite, it was a diabetic ulcer. Anyways, so yes, bond system is something that you need to be aware of, and bond system will affect how you will go ahead with your counseling. Now, below average facilities, I feel that I don't have a lot to say here, because again, you're going to a government college, you're going to a government institution, and if it's a state government institution, not a central government institution, it's going to be bad. I mean, we kind of used to it living in India, but yes, just expect below average facilities. And so another heading would be a lack of interest from the faculty. Again, we are in a government institution, and the faculty here are government employees, and their primary aim is, of course, to minimize their workload, because at the end of the day they are going to get the same pay whether they teach you well or they don't teach you well. So they prioritize doing the least amount of work that is acceptable. And it's having reached my internship and having seen my JRs and SRs and the whole system on the other side, the non-education side of things, I understand that like why government employees behave the way they do, because the work is never ending. But then again, you are paying them, you're not you know yes, your education is subsidized, but it's not as subsidized as, close to zero. uh, like the You're not paying a lot of money to get your health care, but you're paying a lot of money to get your medical education. So yes, and of course it will affect how you'll be able to treat your patients in the future. So yes, there will be a lack of interest from the faculty. The next thing that I would like to talk about is the bureaucracy. I feel that I have a lot to say about it. One of the things that people don't realize is, like, unlike other streams, your education and your career in medicine is quite integrated with the government. And the government in India, or at least in this sector, works in a top to bottom system, and there is a lack of system or a lack of willingness for feedback primarily. And in my understanding and in my experience, from the central government issue, like the issue is with the whims of the NMC, the National Medical Commission. uh, the major issue is like their whims, their ability to not stand behind their decisions. Like something that happened in my era of medical education, like in my second, third, fourth years, is a major controversy was around the next exam. Because the situation was that sometimes they wanted the next exam to happen with the batch previous to mine, then they wanted it to happen with ours, then they wanted it to happen with the next batch. And they ended up postponing it indefinitely. But the decision whether the exam would take place for one particular batch wasn't taken at the starting of the academic year. It was usually in the middle of the academic year. And particularly 2021 and 2022 batch are suffering because of this issue, because there was some rework with the subjects, distribution of subjects in the final year, and now they have a lot of burden in their final year. I don't know what will happen in the future, but yes, this is one example of how the NMC is not able to take a particular decision. And other things that were introduced, like STLs and other teaching methods, they aren't effective, because one again, there is no actual willingness to do it, and the entire burden is shifted to the student, because again, the student is not a government employee, the student is a government slave, because you have technically just given away your rights, because it's a huge cost to leave your seat. And it's a pain to leave this career, this education field, once you've joined it. And you're just forced to take on the burden for whatever changes that the government has started. Because okay, the NMC says, okay, now we're introducing this particular system. It isn't as if the government, the NMC will bear the burden of the this teething phase, and then the government will not bear the burden of the changes that it has introduced. It will not help out in the teething phase of new policies. And with this, the management of your college or your teaching staff will not take up the burden. The entire burden will be shifted onto the students, because again we are the kind of like bonded slaves, uh, with the huge amount that we need to pay to leave your seats. Then another change that the NMC introduced was ATCOM. It is, I think, short for attitude, ethics, and communication. The entire country needs to change for this. Like, I understand it's a good initiative, and yes, overall there is a need for better behavior. Just recently, yesterday I saw bad bad attitude, being expressed by a JR, a senior, and yes, there is definitely a lack of uh, you know communication regarding ethics and attitude, but the entire country needs to change. Like, it isn't something that, oh, only the doctors are lacking, because again the our population is huge, the workload is extremely high, and expecting that the people on the front line, people dealing with the masses, will have their time to greet everyone very nicely and to deal with them in a fashion that is not hasty, is kind of hard to expect. We need a lot more people, we need a lot more doctors in the workforce for us to have that sort of thing where each patient gets enough time with the doctor, with the doctor can greet the patient and spend enough time with them and be more ethical in general. And of course, we deal with unruly patients uh, who are again a pain. You're obviously trying your best, and sometimes you just don't have the energy to do what you would otherwise normally do. Now, another thing that is very particular to government colleges and government hospitals is, you never hear that a professor, associate assistant, or professor facing violence. It is usually the junior doctors who are in the front line, who face violence. And yes, of course, ethics, and yes, it is something that where we need to improve, and again time, but it is also a problem that is due to government's policies. The government, whether central or state, uh, they kind of exaggerate, well, not kind of, they exaggerate the amount of services that that will be provided to people when they come to government hospitals. And not all people, but a significant chunk of them do come to government hospitals with expectations. But what they don't realize is that the amount that the government is subsidizing, it has to come from somewhere, in the sense that you'll have to work for that subsidy. You'll have to go from one room to another room, get a form from one room, get it signed, get it stamped, go to another room. It's a pain, and it's a pain that they need to bear, because again, it's a government facility, the government is subsidizing, the government does not want that its funds are uh, inappropriately used. So there's a pathway, there's a process, there are steps to that process which must be completed so that things happen. And it's a pain, of course. You're in a hospital, you're already coming with this burden that that I or my my family member or my patient is suffering from this medical issue. Now we need to get in lines and we need to do this or need to do that, or oh, we need to wait for the doctors because they're busy. So or the lack of facilities in the hospital, the entire burden comes on to the junior doctors, or the doctors are the front line, rather than the politicians who are responsible for creating such expectations without actually creating change at the site of distribution of such policies. So that is one thing. And then I would like to come on to the topic of work. I'll strictly stick to MBBS, so I'll include the education part and the internship part. My college, I would say that I was lucky in the sense that my college at its worst ended at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So we did kind of have our entire evenings off, but our day started at 7:30, and 7th getting up before 7:30, getting ready and reaching in time, barely getting enough time to eat breakfast or skipping breakfast was a regular thing that we did. Now again, it was grueling, and again, our college is for 6 days a week rather than 5 days a week. You only get Sunday off, and all you can do is enjoy, like go out with your friends on the Saturday evening, get up late on Sunday, and Sunday evening is basically Monday morning, because you start thinking about your next day. You get very little time for rest, and of course you have work to do. People enjoy it, like there is no doubt that there's a enjoyment in college, but it is on your own risks, as in you'll have to pay the price. You will absolutely pay the price for not studying and wasting away your time. There is a healthy amount of fun time that of course you will get, but anything more than that, you'll have to pay the price for it. And well, in internship your life does get much easier, but the shift work which starts in internship and probably ends after your JR3 year, it will sort of put your life in a situation where there is no order to it. Sometimes you're working in the morning, sometimes you're working in the evening, sometimes you're working in the night. And if you're isolated from the society, of course that is not an issue. You're just an independent person. It doesn't matter when you're eating, sleeping, getting your meals. But of course we live in a society. Of course we have our families, and sometimes you work the night shift, and you're unable to communicate with your parents the next day. Or if you have friends, or if you have partners, or you have friends inside the medical college and friends not in the medical stream, it is going to be very odd to match pace with them and to communicate with them, spend time with them. There will be no order to your life. Of course, it's a thing that you need to create for yourself, a small amount of order in the chaos. But again, it's a work that you need to do. It's a work, getting your schedule right, making sure that you can make time for people in your life. Finally, I would like to talk about finances. I feel again, while talking about people, students coming from urban middle class or upper middle class families, you are not going to become ultra wealthy, and you are not going to earn great amount of money early in your life. And that is where the problem is. Of course you will earn for a longer amount of time, and your pay will increase as you progress in your career. But the point is, inflation is going to raise prices for everything. If someone earns a decent amount of money in the first 10 years of their career, as in, say, an engineering graduate who graduates at 22, 23, gets into a job. If they get into a really good job, or well, really good job, then of course that person will be able to make the more expensive purchases of their life quite earlier. My go-to example will be a house. uh, I am obviously nowhere close to getting a house, and of course, no intern is. But my personal aim is to, own a house, and houses go in crores these days, in any decent city. So you need to think that to earn, and then to pay taxes, and then to save enough to buy a house uh, is a huge deal. And house prices are what they are now, and they're really, really expensive. So imagine the house prices in the future. So if you're able to earn money now, early in your career, buy the more important things, the assets that are going to get more expensive in the future. Of course, everyone needs roti kapda makan. You need some place to stay. I personally believe that owning a house is an important thing. Again, I'm maybe going too deep with my example, but then again, getting the more expensive part done first is better. If you earn high in the starting of your career, buy the more expensive things first. Then of course you can spend lower amounts later in your career, or use your investments to get other stuff in life which is not going to be as expensive as these important index things like houses, cars, or whatever. So it's not a get rich quick scheme, and it's a painful process. It's a painful process. And I don't know, I feel like this was earning money was definitely one of the major reasons why I went for this line. And I was absolutely mistaken, and it is something that I don't wish upon my juniors, that people getting in medicine for the money. Because uh, right now there's a time barrier to it, but eventually with the number of MBBS seats increasing, there's also going to be a competition barrier to it. So it's going to get much harder to earn money, or well, significant amount of money that will make you feel that, oh, I have joined a good career path and I'm earning well. So I'm sure that I've missed a few points, and I might cover them in the future. Maybe I went on long tangents, so I apologize for that. It's my first video, and I apologize for the cuts in the video, but I hope that this all of my content made some sense to you, and hopefully you will reconsider your decision to join medicine. I also need to give a disclaimer, which I should have given in the start, but okay. Of course, uh, the country needs doctors, the world needs doctors, but you are a human being too, and you should prioritize yourself. Or at least, if you really want to become a doctor, I would suggest that you choose alternative countries. I'm not sure how they work. I don't know what is the future for people who have joined MBBS or medicine abroad. But uh, if the points that I have discussed, if you feel that somehow these are important to you, maybe consider pursuing medicine abroad. Maybe the benefits will outweigh the negatives. So yeah, thank you.